thumbs up to Putin and saying, you go.
Knowing what's happening in Sudan, for instance, and African leaders have not been able to make any impact. And when they meet the faction there, they go to Saudi Arabia to meet. What does that say about the role they are playing on this stage?
I think we're in a different historical moment, aren't we? Because from my point of view, I believe that things fundamentally changed with the collapse of the Organization of African Unity. It was a very different organization. It was a very different kind of politics. It was a very different understanding of not just the place, but also the responsibilities of African nations in that period and on the global stage. The Organization of African Unity was a much more powerful, much more effective, much more united, and I think much more of a threatening force to the West than the African Union. They were able to support the Palestinians. They were able to effect the decolonization of Angola and Namibia and so on and so forth. They weren't very effective in Biafra, but they tried their best, and so on and so forth. They were able to go to the Congo, with the United Nations in a different show of force. They were able to take a position on apartheid and stick to it. And they played a much more central role in the non-aligned, movement than the African Union. The very idea of an African Union after the European Union, it just shows a group and a people who've lost their way. You change your own organization that preceded the European Union. You dissolve it, you change the name, and you call yourself African Union, just like the European Union. That's just very childish. And I think the West understands, and the West did play a role in that change, of course, by destroying these economies and these countries, taking sides in civil wars and supporting civil wars and sponsoring, chaos and anarchy and, assassinations and overthrows and military coups. And I think that's how we went from the Organization of African Unity to the toothless African Union. You have to go to Saudi Arabia to discuss Sudan, which is in the heart